Izzy, and for my personal growth project, I chose drawing, specifically drawing hands. I just really like how when other people draw hands, I think it's really pretty. I've always wanted to learn how to draw. I think it's super cool. I don't have a lot of artistic outlets or creativity outlets, so I thought this would be a really good opportunity to try to learn something that I could do to sit down and to just relax the mind. Don't have a lot of hobbies that just require sitting down. Usually it's like a sport or an activity that's outside. So I thought this would be a really good opportunity to find something like that. So my mentor, her name was Molly. She is my friend and my coworker. So Molly actually has an art Instagram. I'll show a couple photos. But she's just really good at art. She never took any formal training or formal classes or anything like that. But I really like her art and I really like her style. So I figured she would be a really good help. She's also someone that I feel comfortable with, that I could show in case, I don't know, art can be a really personal thing. So I thought it'd be really valuable to have someone that I felt really comfortable with. When I first started my personal growth project, I had a really tough time starting and committing. So my first drawing was done last minute for the discussion post. My first 2 attempts were both last minute for the discussion post with very minimal effort. I really had the intent to learn and just none of the motivation to do it. And it was after that I realized I needed more structure. And I actually ended up talking about the structure resilience muscle. So this is the first thing that I'm going to relate back to what we learned in class. So I decided I would take photos doing the American Sign Language, doing the alphabet in American Sign Language, and that would be my reference photos for my hand drawings. So I made a booklet that has enough pages for me to do that, and that way I have a space where I can record it and where I can see my progress. I already lost the paper with the first 2 drawings I did, and I think this will help me keep all of my progress in the same space and really help me be able to keep track, and it gives me a goal and it gives me what I want to do. Before it was still a little too ambiguous, just wanting to draw a hand in what position and what style. So just completing it, I think completing it and feeling good about it and just getting it done, having an activity that I'm doing where I sit down to do it. So that's what I'm going to do. So the system that you just saw in the last clip was a great use of my structure resilience muscle. Just giving myself the goal to draw just giving myself the goal to draw a hand wasn't enough. I needed more of an outline and a way to just easily break down into smaller, more achievable goals. That wasn't just to learn how to draw a hand by the end of the semester. I wanted something, learn how to draw this specific style of hand, learn how to do this, and give myself a way to know how I was practicing often, as well as practicing different techniques, and having that little book help me have it all in one place. Molly was really great at giving feedback. I think the book actually really helped because I left spaces for me to give feedback to myself as well as Molly to give feedback to me. For the most part, Molly was very complimentary. She did suggest that I used more shading, a little bit more than I already was. She also helped me see the different dimensions and how shading could affect that. I responded to that really well. It was something that I already saw an issue with myself. I've never really used shading before, even when I doodle, I don't go that in depth. So it's something I really didn't have experience with, but I could see the value in it in my pictures because I could see that it wasn't conveying a hand to me. It conveyed, when someone tries to draw it and it doesn't look right. And so I was trying to see something a little bit more 3-dimensional. I think the shading really helped with that. So furthermore, connecting to a couple more topics in the class, something I learned about myself, but more something from the class, is my lack of priorities and experimenting resilience muscle. So no matter how much structure I had or how positive I was about it, it was really hard for me to just stay committed to it and to prioritize getting this done. It was just hard to force myself to sit down. I'm not a sit-down type of person, so it wasn't an activity I was interested in doing it, but it wasn't an activity I was used to doing, so it just became really hard. This being said, I wasn't even able to follow through with the plan because of my lack of prioritizing and experimenting. I would just much rather be doing something that I knew I was already good at. So that was a really difficult thing to
difficult pill to swallow, I guess, that I'm not good at trying new things and probably don't have as much of a growth mindset as I thought I did. I did letters A through D, and then I waited about 3 weeks and I did E, and it turned out really, really bad. So I just tried a random hand gesture on the back and really liked that, and it was really hard, really hard for me to pick up drawing after that because I felt really defeated, and it wasn't an activity that I felt good about, that I felt successful in. So along with my structure resilience muscle, one of my Clifton strengths is the arranger. So once again, I was able to put things together and organize information and things for optimum productivity. But I had no traits or strengths that were related to loyalty, productivity, or commitment. So I really felt as though I set myself up for success, but couldn't follow through with it, which is frustrating because I took so much time to try to accomplish that. But I also see that that's a strength that I have and a weakness that I have that I can work on, which is okay. When starting my adventure with drawing, I wish I had known my Myers-Briggs. I think that would have helped me a lot. And taking that into account when thinking about the activity I would be doing or how to accomplish it. I'm an extrovert, which I've always known, but I have a really tough time figuring out how to fit that into what I'm doing to optimize what I'm doing. So the most productive I ever was sitting down with a friend to draw, because then I was able to bounce ideas off of her, and I was able to get information and just be with another human being. Felt like teamwork, felt like that collaborativeness that I needed as an extrovert, rather than sitting down in my kitchen by myself, just drawing. It really wasn't for me. And lastly, I'd like to talk about the dynamic populations. So this is something I feel very passionately about. In the future, I want to be a horticultural therapist, and I want to work with children and adults with physical and mental disabilities. And this is something that I've always known. It's something that very recently I've definitely committed to. But along the lines of not feeling very passionate about drawing, it wasn't until, there was weeks before I decided to draw the American Sign Language alphabet. But once that happened, I was super stoked about it. I was so excited. That's the biggest gap, the biggest chunk of when I actually got some drawing done was when I first decided that, and I sat down and felt really passionately about how this is going to connect to my future. Being able to think about how I can use this skill to communicate with the population that I intend to work with was really, really pushed me forward and really made me feel more connected to what I was trying to learn and the skill I was trying to grow. As far as what I learned about myself, I've learned to be patient. If I get down on myself and frustrated with what I'm doing, then I'm not going to want to do it because there's going to be negative emotions associated with it. So for instance, with the drawing, when I tried drawing the letter E, it really didn't work out and it made me really frustrated, but I knew to just say, maybe this one's not for me. And so I just drew something on the back that I really liked, and it made me really happy. And to not get bogged down, especially when you're learning, is very important. But that being said, the biggest thing that I would keep in mind for the future is that structure does not equal success. Granted, I think I had a great system that I set up. I think I had a great structure and a great opportunity for success. I didn't follow through with it, which is okay. It's something to work on. I'm going to be mindful to not commit to too much because I will not complete it. 26 letters is like kind of a lot. And so I think maybe it was just too much. Lastly, I'll talk about what I've learned about myself as a leader and my leadership abilities. So like I've mentioned a few times, as far as a strong structure resilience muscle and my arranger strength, I'm very good at setting up systems for getting stuff done. I was able to structure me completing drawings and getting feedback in a way that worked best for Molly, especially being able to work even a little bit with another person during this project was very helpful. I knew if I didn't write down how I felt about things or didn't give her a space to jump off of, then she wouldn't be able to give me as valuable of feedback. So when I was able to tell her, or she was able to see on my paper, I didn't like how the shading worked out here, she was able to take that and give me a lot more valuable advice because she knew what I was looking at and what I felt insecure about. So as a leader, that was something that I think I was really successful on and I can continue to use in the future. Overall, I really did enjoy this project. I was able to incorporate things I learned from this class, but also things I already knew and I'm continuing to learn about myself. I hope to actually finish drawing the alphabet in my own time. when I decide that I would like to commit to that again. Because I do think it'd be fun to have an activity to slow me down, an activity to focus on and enjoy. But besides that, I've really enjoyed this experience, and I hope to see what everyone else thinks.